This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Let's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome, everybody, to the WWE Podcast. It is Sunday, April 13th, 2025, and it's, more importantly, WrestleMania week. It's here. 1 week from right now, we'll be gearing up for the main event of John Cena and Cody Rhodes for the Undisputed Championship, and we are all, I think, eyeing that match for what could happen, who could win, returns, craziness, another wacky finish like we saw last year. That'll all be unveiled to us in just about 1 week. Of course, that's not the only match. We've got a lot of, including, you know what, a match that I haven't talked a whole lot about, but I'm looking forward to. Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. They amped things up this past week on SmackDown. We now have Bayley and Lyra, number one contenders for the women's tag team titles. And if you like Bayley and Lyra together, you should probably root against them to win. As we all know, the women's tag titles are cursed. Somebody hexed it. So you don't want if you like a wrestler, you like a women's tag team, you don't want them touching the women's tag titles. You just don't. So definitely, if you are interested in a particular tag team and you like them, I would not really be sitting there going, I hope they win, because it's kind of a bit of a contrast of interest there. But that's not the only match. Of course, we've got Jey Uso, we've got Gunther, we've got the Intercontinental title, fatal four-way looking down the pike here. We've got Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton. So much really to look forward to. And hey, I think it's going to be a good WrestleMania, despite the really weird build. We don't have a Randy Orton opponent yet. Kevin Owens seems to be legit injured. If he's not, it's going to be the greatest dupe of all time. All right. If Randy Orton, or rather Kevin Owens, is not actually, injured, which, I mean, I hope he is for the sake of just the integrity of injuries, not for his own sake, but Randy Orton's still searching for an opponent. That'll be unveiled hopefully this coming Friday before SmackDown, or at SmackDown before WrestleMania. So a jam-packed week as we look forward to WrestleMania 41. I would anticipate a lot of video packages, a lot of go-home promos, a lot of pull-apart brawls if we haven't seen enough of those already. And we've got a lot to look forward to. We are going to be overloaded with wrestling in just 1 week. And of course, you have NXT thrown in there. And if you watch TNA, there's just so much. So I'm looking forward to it. I know everybody here listening is, and by the way, this is live. I forgot to mention that. This is a live show, and this is my first time live on Riverside. So if you are interested in coming on and chatting or asking a question or two, then I'm not sure what's on your end, what you can see, but you can always type it in the chat. Okay, the chat I know does work. I see a few people that are listening right now. If you'd like to come on, just let me know. And if not, you can just sit there in listen only mode. That's up to you. All right. Well, let's talk about this coming week, or this past week in WWE, a la the title of this show. So we did get an appearance from Cody Rhodes. I'll start with that. And Cody Rhodes has been carrying this promo, or this program for the last couple of weeks. He's without John Cena there, no Rock. We all forget that, he was a part of this whole damn thing. In fact, he was the mastermind behind the whole thing. Yet we haven't heard from him in over a month. In fact, we've heard from him precisely 0 times since Elimination Chamber. And presumably John Cena, from what we understand, though, is going to be on SmackDown next week. That's, I believe Cody said that in his promo. So that means we'll have actually a little bit of a John Cena, maybe a AA delivered to Cody Rhodes to pay back for the Crossroads that he was delivered on Raw a couple of weeks ago. So that's maybe why he's there. I don't know if they'll have another promo or what's on the agenda, but John Cena in the arena doesn't really lend itself to tell me there's going to be a ton of physicality, only because they're risking injury prior to the night before. So it's good that John Cena will be there. Really, he has no excuse not to be there, given that Vegas is where the event is, and the fact that Monday Night Raw, or rather SmackDown, is going to be in Vegas. So, hey, I think that kind of makes sense. Now, is The Rock going to be there? Is he going to show up? I don't know. But this past week, let's get to it. Cody Rhodes in the ring. All the championships, all the eras of championships were laid out in the ring. All of them were laid out in the ring, and he talked about what each championship meant, and everything from Bob Backlund to Eddie Guerrero. And then he got to the spinner belt. And, you know, he said he doesn't hate the belt. I digress. I mean, I am not a big fan of that spinner belt. The spinner belt to me will always be just a disrespectful display, a symbolic display of the WWE Championship. It just always will be to me. There's really no convincing me and a lot of other fans otherwise. But it still was a decent promo, given the fact he didn't have anybody to really bounce off the entire promo from at all. He said it's about the next 20 champions, whether it's NXT kids, WWE ID prospects, or a kid in Seattle who wants to grow up and become champion. And he said that John Cena wants to take it all away, and that Cena neglected to make Seattle a part of his farewell tour. And he said that Cena opted to be in Vegas for next week's SmackDown, as I mentioned. And he recalled Cena saying the placement of his tattoo makes him a common fan. And Cody said, so what? I mean, I know he's trying to own being a fan. Well, you really can't be a wrestler if you're not a fan of the product to begin with. So it's kind of by default that you have to be a fan. But also, I don't know any quote unquote common fans tattooing their neck with anything wrestling related, much less a big American Nightmare logo. That's not what common fans do. Okay, I wouldn't say I'm a common fan. I would say I'm a lean more hardcore, if you want to label me that. Whatever. I mean, I have a podcast that I do, several times a week. I would say I'm a little bit more than a common fan. If you're listening to this, you are likely more than just a common fan. And let me ask you, do you have a tattoo of a wrestler on your neck? Anything wrestling related? I'm going to guess the answer is no. So anyway, he said that the tattoo, for the same reason he wears it, is for the suit, not because he thinks he's somebody, but because he wants to be somebody. And he then name dropped Latino Heat, and he name dropped what was it? As I said, what's his Bob Backlund. And I'm surprised he didn't mention Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock, given that the Attitude Era belt was one of the most well-known of the entire era of wrestling genres. So that was pretty interesting to me. But I will say it was still a very interesting display for him to put out there and show what he's trying to do here. And I get it, but I'm tired of the promo. I got to say, I'm ready for the match. Just generally, I mean, I don't care how much they knock it out of the park in this coming SmackDown. I'm ready to just see what they've got in store and see what their outcome is. Now, the other thing here that I want to talk about is Tiffany Stratton and Roxanne Perez. Now, they had a decent, I have to say, Roxanne Perez has been doing, as the kids would say, a low-key good job because she's been flying under the radar. No one really is talking about her too much. She's been in and out of the conversations of fans, since she's been out of NXT. And I think that she's done a very good job every time that she's been on the main roster for a match. And then this is no exception. Now, Tiffany Stratton in her own right is an incredible athlete. And this matchup went 9 minutes, which is pretty damn good for a non-title women's match. And it ended up with Tiffany beating Roxanne Perez with a prettiest moonsault. So I just wanted, before I talk about Charlotte, I wanted to just give Roxanne some flowers here because she's doing her part. Now, you know that Tiffany's going to win this match. Roxanne has no chance of winning, but that's not really the point. If you're looking at this from a logical perspective, it's about, yes, putting over Tiffany to make her look strong for Charlotte. But what about the next generation? Like, what about the next person up? And eventually Roxanne will get her shot. And I think she's been doing a really good job. So after the match, though, of course, this is really what people are talking about. Charlotte pulled Stratton aside, or to ringside, ran her into the barricade, ring post, and then Flair tossed Stratton over the broadcast table, and Barrett actually blocked Flair from going after Stratton, and Flair climbed onto the broadcast table. People are booing her, and there was an early attack earlier in the day, too, in the parking lot when Tiffany arrived at SmackDown. And Charlotte, it was kind of a fun attack because it's one that you don't see very often taken with quote unquote fan footage. And it was nice because that's something, again, you don't see very often. And the way that it was filmed was cool. And so, despite the fact that, of course, it was planned, I appreciate them trying to make it seem authentic. And it doesn't seem like these two legitimately like each other at all. And that's a good thing. Much like when we saw Becky Lynch and Charlotte, was it heading into, I don't know if it was SummerSlam several years ago, whatever it was, Survivor Series? I can't remember the PLE, but when they had actual beef with one another and throwing each other's championships at each other's feet and all that kind of thing, that was legit heat, and it still remains to this day the story. So if Tiffany and Charlotte legit don't like each other, and I have no reason to believe that that's not the case, then that makes this match much more interesting. Now, Tiffany has gone on saying that she is going to try to make this match one of the best women's matches in the history of women's wrestling. And I would caution Tiffany for that bar. Now, I would say internally that is a good thing to have in your mind, that's the goal you ultimately want to achieve after you leave Vegas, is to look back and be like, man, that was awesome. Couple problems. Number one, that's for the fans to decide. All right. And number two, most importantly, your first objective should be to win. Okay. I don't need to hear from you that you're trying to have a great match. That comes as a byproduct of you trying to win. And oftentimes this is it's something that a lot of wrestlers seemingly forget as they continue to cut their promos. It seems to be one of those deals where they're so focused on even just blatantly telling the audience, hey, we're going to tear the house down. We're going to have a great match. No, just try to win the damn thing. Like that should be your focus. So nonetheless, it should be a good match, but I really have to say, as much as I believe Charlotte is a professional, and I do, Charlotte seems to be very much disinterested in this, or at least pretending to be. Her character is pretending to be, and that's very much a defense mechanism that she's putting up when she seems disinterested, because the other alternative is for her to get emotional, start yelling at Tiffany, and going down to her level. So she's trying to put on this facade that she's above all of this and disinterested, which it doesn't do Tiffany any favors. But I do wonder if she's really interested in having a great match with Tiffany. I mean, she may outwardly say that, but I don't know. I mean, there's really nothing for Charlotte left to prove. I mean, she's got nothing left. She's done everything there is to do. And so I do wonder what with the internal, if you were to put truth serum in her, if she's really truly interested in having a good match with Tiffany or not. But the other thing is, will they take real shots at each other? Will we see any real stuff go on? That's a nice little side bit there, side story. If you keep a close eye on some of their shots, clotheslines, punches, kicks, is there anything you notice that you go, yeah, that seemed a little stiffer than normal. So the other thing with Charlotte, one more thing, and I do see we have a few people here. I'm going to see if anybody wants to come on. I know there's one, two, maybe like I may be counting this wrong. I got like 4 or 5 people. But one more thing about Tiffany, or rather Charlotte, and then I'll see if someone has a comment or question, is, and I mean this with all sincerity, I'm not trying to be funny, not trying to put anyone down. It seems like Charlotte is close to a breakdown. And I don't mean that in a way that is funny or her character is close to a breakdown. I mean the person, Ashley Fleer. Like I mean, she's lost a lot of weight, which she didn't need to anyway. I mean, she was fine the way she is, but she does what she wants. She doesn't look healthy, and it's not just because of the multiple facial surgeries. It's just like legitimately, I'm a little worried. She seems just unhealthy generally. Not, I'm not saying she has a cold. Just she looks like she's not in a good place, is what it looks like to me. And hey, 3 divorces will do that. I have no doubt about it. I'm not blaming for her for it. And when you hit that on air, there's no way that the character can cover how you actually feel about somebody mentioning that on air. So I don't know. And I saw how thin she looked on SmackDown. It's not a good look for her. She needs to put some more weight back on. But more importantly, I mean, I don't know. I got that sense that she just is, she's not in a good place. She may say she is. She goes on these talk shows. My eyes are not jiving with the story that she's trying to tell. It's my take. I could be totally wrong, and she may be the most happy that she's ever been. She'll tell you she is, I'm sure, because what else is she going to say? But I have some suspicions about it. So, all right, let's see what the heck happens here. I'm going to try to bring somebody on. Let's see here. All right, so guys, here's the deal. So we're not going to have a whole conversation. We'll just have a little bit of a comment, question, that kind of thing. I don't want to, as much as I could, because we're all wrestling fans, I want to give everybody an opportunity. So we'll just, have a little bit back and forth, and then we'll move on to the next person. So let's start with, let's see. So I'm going to start with Andrew from Flint. I'm going to say Flint, Michigan. So let's see. Andrew, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey.
Yep, Flint, Michigan.
Very good. Very good. What's on your mind?
Quick question. You keep calling it a weird build up to WrestleMania, and I agreed with you to a point till recently, and I gotta say it's been a boring build up outside of Cena and Cody. Just not a lot of interest. But the question I have for you is, what has more anticipation, or had more anticipation? This build up for WrestleMania, or the Netflix Raw debut? Because I feel like that debut had way more excitement and building up for it.
Yeah. So, well, thanks, Andrew. And yeah, I mean, I continue to say it's weird just because it's been it's been a roller coaster ride of this is going to happen, that's going to happen, then this person is here, they're not going to be here, The Rock's going to have a match, no, he's not here to have a match, John Cena is turning heel. It's just been different. And so as far as which has been a better build, I mean, as far as PLEs go, or as Monday Night Raws go, that was probably the most heavily promoted Monday Night Raw of all time, and with good reason. It's hard to compare a Monday Night Raw, despite the fact that it is a massive one on Netflix, to the biggest PLE that they have of the year, because WrestleMania is built on matches and who's going to do what and what big stars could be there and what big stars could have a match. Whereas Monday Night Raw's debut, as we saw in execution, was very light on wrestling, very promo heavy, very much a pat ourselves on the back, very much, and I'll just say it, very much a big corporate circle jerk, which is what it was. And there is a lot of that in a lot of the PLEs as well, and it just is what it is. But that was very much just a, hey, guys, this is us. We're here, and look how great it is for us to be on Netflix. And I mean, I thought it was a decent show from a star power perspective. But when The Rock came out and he was just Dwayne pretending to play The Rock, and then later he said, "Oh, I meant to do that," that was a bunch of crap. No, he didn't. He just tried to circle that in and tie it in to the story because he got such bad backlash for it. It just totally ruined the story, I think, at the time. So as far as better build, it's kind of, in a way, it's apples and oranges, because Raw on Netflix is made to just get you to watch it for the quote unquote, like the interest of what, I've never seen this. What is this? What are they going to do versus WrestleMania, which is built on matches and outcomes and titles and blood feuds and big returns? So I know it sounds like a cop-out answer, but it's hard for me to say. I mean, in the short term, sure, I would say the Raw Netflix build was more concise. It was more, and they also only have a 2.5, 3 hour show to produce rather than pretty much 8 hours of television or 7.5, 8 hours of television total over 2 nights. So thanks, Andrew. Let's go to James. I don't know where James is from, but let's find out. James, how you doing, man?
G'day, how's it going?
Good. What's on your mind?
I'm from New Zealand, so hopefully you can get my accent to it. But I've been watching it through Netflix, and like you said, the build-up has been a bit average. The main event with the triple threat is particularly a bit underwhelming for me. Like you've said in your podcast about these no real prize. It's Paul Heyman is like, it doesn't seem to have a big oomph like it should for a WrestleMania main event. So I'm a bit underwhelmed by that. But the other thing that I am interested in is the Fatal 4-Way match, which I think we'll see the splitting of the Judgment Day. I think that will finally come to an end with Finn and Dom having a bit of a breakup during the match.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm glad you brought up the Fatal 4-Way. I'll comment on that in just a second. I think that it has been a bit of a boring build. I mean, you kind of pick your adjective because it depends on where in the build that we're thinking it was this or that. I mean, zooming out, you could probably describe it in several ways. Some people said I've seen people on Twitter, on X, say it's the best build I've ever seen. I'm serious. And everybody kind of feels their own way because we're all different people. But there's no doubt about it that this is a very controversial build to WrestleMania. This is one of the most controversial builds in my 30 years of watching WrestleManias. And as far as the underwhelming triple threat, as critical as I've been of it, that it's essentially a 65-year-old man's services that are on the line, that all these 3 grown men that are highly successful at the top of their business are suddenly all worried about what this 65-year-old man's going to do, who he's going to turn on. Does he align with Seth? It's to me, it's extremely underwhelming. I love Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is a legend, but this is a weird, there's that word again, but it is no other way. It's just, it's a underwhelming way to structure this triple threat, that's what's on the line is just this dude. And again, no disrespect to Paul, but that's not what main events should, especially at WrestleMania, should be about. It should either be about a championship or some, like we saw Stone Cold coming out of retirement to face Kevin Owens. And you can't always have that, I understand, but at least there's a story there. Like even Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns singularly, I think would have been a better match than this triple threat. At least storyline wise, it would have been more concise. There's a massive history to build on there. And then instead you have Punk, and Punk's trying to make his case, but then you have Paul Heyman here, and it's like, okay, well, 3 big baby faces, somebody's bound to turn heel here, but no matter who you look at, whoever you pick that you want to win, I would ask, why do you want them to win? What's in it for them? Just say that they beat someone like at WrestleMania in the main event. I mean, that's a hell of an accomplishment, but I guess maybe our standards are too high for WrestleMania, particularly mine. Maybe they're too high. I'm not sure, but yeah. And as far as the Intercontinental title match, that's, as Michael Cole said, and I will piggyback off of him, this is not a match to sleep on. This is a match that we look at, and I know it's not one that we really like talk about because of Cody and Cena and potentially The Rock coming back, and that's sucking all the air out of the room and all the conversations there. The Kevin Owens injury with Randy Orton obviously took a lot of the conversation away from any of these type of matches. But this match here is one that I would totally agree and piggyback on Michael Cole. This is you can't sleep on it. This could be a match of the night. How can it not be? And as I mentioned on my weekend or my Raw review, I said, it was a mailbag, that this could be a match where everybody has a really strong case to win. Everybody. And yes, I think there is a definite chance the Judgment Day finally splits, particularly with Dom and Finn. But you can make a case for Dom to win here, Finn to win here. You could have a retention from Braun Breaker and Penta, who's, got a lot of momentum. There's really no bad choice. And that's what makes it fun as well. Not only is this an incredibly, just a crazy toss up. Don't put any money on this match. I continue to say that. People bet on WrestleMania. Stay the hell away from this one. That's number one. But also with this match, this is going to be a very good, you have 4 guys, incredibly athletic, in their prime. This is going to be, how can it not be at least in contention for match of the night? So this one, I would agree, while it's not one that's been at the top of everyone's list, at the top of their minds, my God, what's going to happen? This is one of those ones that this is not a snack break. This is not a merch break. This is not a bathroom break. I'm telling you, this is one that I think, if given enough time, and that's always something that can be adjusted depending on how the rest of the show goes, then I think this will be a very, very good match. And again, match of the night contender. So thank you. Thank you so much, James. And over in New Zealand, very good. You never know who the hell's listening, which is kind of scary at the same time. All right. Let's go to one more person, then we'll continue a little bit more of the weekend review. Let's go to LG. I'm not sure. LG, I'll try to take off mute here. LG, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Matt, it's Luis from the After Dark show.
How did I not guess that? Damn. All right, there we go.
I was trying to be a lurker and just listen in, but I'm happy to, wanted to participate in the live show.
There you go. Well, you should have put your initials something different. I would have never guessed. Yeah, and just put it. Yeah. So awesome. Yeah, I'm glad we connected. What's on the forefront of your mind?
Honestly, I'm just here to listen. I'm here to see what's going on. It seems like I'm more excited for night 2, to be honest. But right now, I'm just a watcher. I'm just a listener. Nothing popping in my head right now.
Awesome. Well, let me ask this, because this is my first time using this platform as far as live goes. Did you do anything different to pop up here in my list where I could take you off mute, or did you just click on the link and that was it?
I clicked on the link and then it was like, "Hey, are you ready to record?" And then it popped me in.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, enjoy listen only mode. Everybody, by the way, a good time for a plug. Check out the After Dark show, guys, that he does every single week, every Wednesday night. Check it out and go on Patreon for that. So awesome. Well, I'm so glad we connected, Luis. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for the call out.
Yeah. All right. So guys, that's Luis. I'm telling you, check him out. He's better than I am. And I don't mean that just because he's on the damn, on the call. All right. So I'm not blowing smoke. He really is awesome. So, all right, let's continue and let's go through a little bit more of SmackDown and touch on Raw, as I always say, because we have a whole show dedicated to that. I want to talk about LA Knight and Orton and Solo and Tama Tonga, but the setup for this match was Orton and Nick Aldis in the ring, where Nick Aldis, rightfully so, was angry. And he looked like he wanted to do something. That was the first time that we saw Nick Aldis actually angry and see what his angry face looks like, and that he might actually do something. He's been a professional's professional as a GM. He has been one of the best GMs that I've ever seen. I mean, we've had some good wins. We've had Paul Heyman, we have Stephanie McMahon, we've had Teddy Long, Eric Bischoff, go down the list. He's up there in terms of just perfectly fitting the role. And this is the first time I've seen him angry and wondering maybe he, comes out of the GM role, takes that hat off, and as Orton said, trade the suit in for some ring gear, and he didn't. He didn't, and I'm glad Randy Orton also reminded us that he prepaid ahead of time for a future RKO. I had forgotten that he did that. I don't know if that was what they were thinking about here, but I guess they knew at some point his character's probably going to hit another RKO on the GM because that's what he does. But I'm so glad that, it makes me go, oh man, how did I forget that? There's just too much content of wrestling to remember that stuff. But I appreciated that little detail being brought up again. And, when Solo Sikoa comes out, as Randy Orton was saying, I don't have an opponent. I need an opponent for WrestleMania. Solo Sikoa comes out and, I'm thinking, oh God, no disrespect against Solo Sikoa. All right. Solo Sikoa he's not what he used to be. He has fallen pretty hard here, and not to the point of I'm worried about his career, but to the point where he's not really what I think about. Like, his bloodline faction is not really relevant right now. I understand he's got Tama Tonga. I understand the tension with Jacob Fatu. We all know where that's eventually going to go with Jacob Fatu. You know, he's a shove away from a babyface run. But that's ultimately where it's going to lead, is probably the dissension of the Judgment Day, and then the dissension, the dissolution of the Bloodline 2.0 here with Solo and Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania. Predictions to come this week, by the way, Friday. I'll try to get them. Maybe I'll get them out a little earlier, but probably on the Friday show, it'll be a massive prediction show. So Solo and Tama Tonga come out here, and he asked Nick Aldis to tell Orton to leave the ring. And Solo said no one wants to hear Orton whine about not having a WrestleMania match. Solo said Orton is in the past, and that's where LA Knight will end up after Jacob Fatu beats him for the U.S. title at WrestleMania. And Orton said he was trying to be diplomatic for the first time in his career, but Solo and Tama Tonga are making him hear voices. And Orton called for them to get in the ring, and they got the better of Orton. That's where LA Knight comes out, helped Orton clear the heels from the ring. And then Knight got a mic and said he took his name out of Solo's mouth and put his fist in it. And Knight said he knows Orton didn't get enough, and neither did he. And that's where the tag team, the predictable but fun tag team main event was made. And I think it was, we'll get to that match. And actually, let's get to it right now. What the heck am I waiting for? So this match, it was what it was. It was 9 minutes long. It wasn't so much about the match itself, because you kind of know who's going to win here, as LA Knight and Orton do beat Solo and Tama Tonga. And the finish was Knight hitting the BFT on Tama Tonga for the victory. RKO also was delivered on Tama Tonga. Now, Solo and Randy did leave the ring, and they ended up fighting through the crowd. And that concerns me, that this could end up just being a signal that Orton and Solo are destined for a WrestleMania match. It could be. It's not exactly exciting, but if it ends up being a Solo Orton match at WrestleMania, then so be it. I don't believe to this. I've been checking WWE's Twitter feed. I don't see anything that says anything, referencing what Orton's going to do at WrestleMania. So if it's Orton and Solo, not exactly exciting, but it gets Orton on the card. And he's deserving to be on the card, because what more can you say about Randy Orton? Legend. And so great, gets him on the card, but that could be what they're signaling here. Just keeping I would keep your bar low on Randy Orton's opponent. I'll just say that. So Jacob Fatu, though, comes to the ring. He attacks LA Knight. He hit his moonsault finish. He picked up the U.S. title, and he licked it while the executive producer credits were shown, and Fatu then went up, hit another moonsault to close the show. And that's fine. The crowd, though, if you notice, as much as they love LA Knight, they're starting to, and they have been all along, really starting to side with Jacob Fatu. They just need one reason. They just need a tiny push, and this guy's a babyface, bar none, because they smell a star in him, as we all do. He came in and immediately took the spotlight away from Solo. Intentionally or not, that's what happened. The fans immediately gravitated to Jacob Fatu because they see something in him that they go, whoa, yeah, I know you're a heel, we're supposed to boo you, but there's something there. There's something there, and we want to grab onto it. He looks different. He's got that animalistic just presence about him. He's younger. He's got all the tools. He's got that intangible you can't teach that we hear so much about. And I think the fans are sniffing it out. And the concern is, if you're an LA Knight fan, not only is he, I guess odds, I have to look at the Vegas odds, but I believe the last I looked, Jacob Fatu is odds on favorite to beat LA Knight for the U.S. title. Not only that, but you have to wonder about the crowd reaction at WrestleMania between Jacob Fatu and LA Knight, because with the new shiny toy of Jacob Fatu and LA Knight, who the fans still love and have no reason to really hate, how are they going to do here? My guess is that it's a battle. It's probably like, 50-50. Jacob Fatu and LA Knight chance. I don't know if LA Knight will get booed per se, but the cheers I think will match one another as Jacob Fatu is destined to be a big star, barring some injury or change of career or whatever. So yeah. All right. So anyway, let's continue with some other things here that happened. Zelina Vega and Chelsea Green in a non-title match for the women's, rather, it was a non-title match with the women's U.S. champion, Chelsea Green and Zelina Vega. This match apparently wasn't supposed to end this way. So it ended with a countout in a minute, and it was a disaster, right? There's no way, and reports have followed this as well, that this was supposed to be the finish. Zelina Vega beat Chelsea Green in a non-title match here via countout, and the cheers were really kind of drowned out by the boos, and rightfully so, because the crowd was just like, what the F was this? It was not a good finish. It's kind of hard to believe something like this happens still, but I give the referee credit. If this is indeed true, because the referee understands what the finish is supposed to be, but the referee also has to enforce the rules and make it seem like this is legit contest. So I think that this is something that you have to actually take into consideration when it comes to the actual legitimacy of this contest. So that's something I think we need to consider as well. And let's see here. So I gotta hold on one second, guys. We're live. So what also I want to do is ask you guys one thing. When it comes to Chelsea Green, I understand the appeal of her. I understand why fans like her. I understand the kind of the innocent feel of her and the kind of ditzy feel of her, of who she is. But like, I don't know how much longer they can continue with Chelsea Green as U.S. champion, because as fun as it's been with her as champion, and she was a fun little kind of interim champion, and the problem with her character is she is usually eminently beatable, where you have so many other stars that could easily beat her, but she lucks her way out. She is this ditzy kind of, easily like lovable loser character that somehow slipped her way into a championship. She slipped on a banana peel and became U.S. champion. So I think that this is something that we need to really think about with Chelsea Green as champion. And I hope that at some point they got to drop the U.S. title to somebody else that actually can carry the women's champion, the women's U.S. championship division, if that's a thing, with a little bit more strength. And again, nothing against Chelsea when it comes to just pure, like, nothing personal, but I don't think she is, for too much longer, should be U.S. champion when it comes to just how fans should view the U.S. championship. They view it a little bit more lightheartedly, and I don't think that's a good thing long term. All right, so let's go to Rey Fenix and Berto. Now, Rey Fenix and Berto went 10 minutes and 45 seconds. And this match, I mean, Rey Fenix coming in here has done a short sample size, but done a really nice job. All right. And Berto was there as the in-house enhancement talent. He's going to lose the match. Rey Fenix needs to make himself a name, and he needs to get fans behind him, show fans who and what he is. Berto's the perfect guy to do that. Berto can take a loss. He can take a bump. He can make Rey Fenix look like $1 million. And that's exactly what this match was about, with Rey Fenix beating Berto in nearly 11 minutes. So it was in terms of TV matches, a somewhat lengthy match. And this, after the match, Santos and Angel returned to ringside. Escobar spoke with Berto and then pulled Fenix up to his feet. Then Escobar wanted Berto to shake hands, or shake Fenix's hand, but Berto blew him off and left the ring with Angel, and Escobar shook Fenix's hand before leaving the ring. So, first of all, giving Angel and Berto their names, last names back would be nice. But also, this match again was enjoyable. I think it just showed what Rey Fenix is, what he's capable of, and they're building a luchador division of sorts. When you look at all the guys that they've brought in as of late, they have successors to Rey Mysterio. It's not just Rey Mysterio and then these other guys, which is what it's been for so long. Ultimo Dragon, and just there's been some pretty big flops when it comes to WWE's presentation of luchador wrestling. So building up some kind of alternate, while they're not doing it overtly, bringing in these guys, I think is good. And it's also good if you're a company trying to go global, or at least build more successfully globally, because having the luchadors in your roster that you can bring to South America, obviously Mexico, and really show them around the world, it's a smart thing to do. They're building this division strategically, and I don't fault them for it. So let's I want to talk also really just awesome portion of SmackDown. A portion of SmackDown that I also gave praise to last week, because Naomi, I said last week, where the hell has this version of her been? Where has she been? Where is this been? Why has this been buried? Where was all of this during her just empty promos and just kind of superficial entrances that don't really have anything to them? She's all about, she had like, her only vocabulary were the words "feel the glow." Like, that's it. That's all she was allowed to say for several years. And it became just kind of, boring, but also very much just kind of like, if that's all you've got, like, I don't need you on my TV. And you knew there probably was more, but they weren't allowing her to do that. And now they are allowing her to just go full on dark. Now I'm loving it. I think that this is the best version of Naomi by a mile that we've ever seen. Having her do what she's doing here has been just a breath of fresh air. I think there's a good chance that the fans don't cheer for Jade Cargill at WrestleMania, because Naomi's been here longer. They have more respect for her out of that tenure. Jade, we still don't know who she is. Yeah, she cut a little bit of a reciprocal promo on SmackDown that didn't still tell us really much anything about her. Naomi doing what she did here, calling Jade Cargill a snake, and laughed about pushing her off the ledge onto a hood of a car. She said she'll take her rightful place as champion, and she said that Bianca won't even look at her now that Jade is back. Naomi said she's doing what's best for her and is going to get hers, and Naomi told her to proceed with caution. Her look also, I'd give, in terms of just what they've done with Naomi so far, a 10 out of 10. And her in-ring style should represent this darkness. I don't care what she needs to do to win. I really, again, caution WWE, pun intended, that the fans aren't going to fully get behind Jade. You've even heard that already. Every time Jade has made a massive return, and she made a really good one at Elimination Chamber, by far her best, and the fans reacted pretty good, pretty loud for her. But outside of that, there hasn't been a whole lot of support organically for Jade. There's just been this superficial, hey, yeah, you look like $1 million. We know that. $2 million. But we don't know who you are. We don't know why you're here. We don't know what your goals are. You were victimized by a bad friendship. Okay. So I guess we're supposed to feel sympathy, and there's some there, but is it enough to get people to grab onto her character and be like, hey, yeah, boy, I really hope she beats Naomi half to death? I don't think that's really the case. I think fans, especially with the WrestleMania crowd, knowing what they do, there's a good chance that they end up cheering for Naomi. Not predicting it, but there's a damn good chance of it. So, just wanted to put that out there as a small possibility. So that's really the big stuff on SmackDown. I would say too, as far as let's see here. Oh, Shayna Baszler. I know I didn't really talk about this much because what's there to really talk about? I mean, what match I'm talking about is Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, who took on Lyra and Bailey and Shayna and Zoe and Michin and B-Fab and Piper Niven, Alba Fire. I mean, it's just it was a gauntlet match for the women's tag titles at WrestleMania. So the match was fine. And in fact, I would say that the ending of it, though, was with Bailey and Lyra was really well done, and Piper and all that. And again, I want the good teams to stay away from the women's tag titles until they can show me they'll actually put some, respect on those women's tag titles, because every time a women's tag team wins it, they go into hiding. They hand them the titles and then they're saying, "Hey guys, here's where you go now, underground." They have like this bunker, and they're like, "All right, well, we're gonna keep you off TV for a little while. This is the reward you get for becoming women's tag title champions." That's surprise. They just have a curse on them. So I don't want any tag team that I like, and I do like Bailey and Lyra. They're unique, new, fresh, right? All checks all the boxes. I have a sneaking suspicion they're probably going to win against Liv Morgan and company at WrestleMania. So yeah, there is that. But the one thing is, at least they're showing us pretty much the depth of the women's tag team division on SmackDown. You got them all. You pretty much got them all. And that I will give WWE credit for, whereas in years past, WWE has just manufactured a bunch of people who aren't tag teams, but don't have anything going on, and then they put them together and call them tag teams and say, "Hey, look, we have a division. Hey, look, see, we've got these two people that aren't doing anything, but they're really a tag team, and look how many tag teams there are." And then, of course, after WrestleMania, when they have this, 8 women's tag team, 8-woman or 8-team tag team match, they fall apart because they aren't a real team. They just needed them for WrestleMania to make it look like there's a division. So that's not the case here. That's not the case. Now, Bailey and Lyra are new, but they seem to have nice chemistry. Shayna and Zoe have been a tag team for a while. Michin and B-Fab are somewhat new. Kaden Carter and Katana Chance have been a tag team for as long as I can remember. So it's fine. There's an actual tag team division, so to speak, on SmackDown for the women. So that's a good thing. All right, well, let me talk to, let's see here, on SmackDown, or rather on Raw. Let's talk about Jay. All right, I want to talk about Jay, and I want to talk about Gunther, because there's excitement here that didn't exist a week ago for me. And maybe you're feeling the same. Now, the beatdown of his brother a week ago, 2 weeks ago now, was what this feud needed to actually turn this whole thing around that had been otherwise just boring. I mean, it's just flat out boring. That's the adjective I'd use. It was boring. Boring. And now that turned it. Jay this past week solidified, I think, a lot more interest in people with his promo. Coming out, saying what he did. That he's not afraid of Gunther anymore, and he needs to essentially ask God forgiveness for the man he's going to become at WrestleMania. To basically do what he needs to do to beat the holy hell out of Gunther, and then capture the World Championship from Gunther. And I still don't want Gunther to lose. I think Gunther has much more in the tank when it comes to his actual run. I don't think there's enough going on here with his run. I think they could get another 6 to 12 months out of him. They easily could. But if Jay were to win, I wouldn't lose my mind. All right. I mean, I don't think he should, but I understand why they could be positioning him to do it. It's a babyface. It's WrestleMania. Now, he's the Royal Rumble winner. And if they position it in a way that still protects Gunther, I could see where they'd want to do it. Crowd, I think, is somewhat ready for it. And this past week, the best thing that Jay ever did, I said this on Friday, he changed how he cuts a promo, or at least he did for a portion of it, to make us pay attention. He just spoke in his natural voice. I brought that up. but it's so important that he did that because it humanized him. It was just him as a person speaking. It wasn't actually, a character. Well, you see so much of Jay, and he's very enthusiastic, and he is magnetic. He's likable. He's all that, but he's still look at him as a character. This version of him that we saw on Monday was very much a person speaking to Gunther, just a human being speaking to Gunther. And that's, I think, was the most effective part by far. Easily the best promo Jay has ever cut in his career by a long shot. Gunther didn't have much to say in response, but that's fine. The idea was to get Jay the last word, and that's what happened. So after last Monday, now I'm interested to see the outcome. Interested to see how Jay actually follows up on his word. I didn't know he was afraid of Gunther. That was something I don't think was really made clear. And so I enjoyed that. I really, really did. As far as the women's side of things go on Raw, with the triple threat there. Now, we all saw this coming. We all knew that we were going to get a triple threat for the women's championship on Raw. That was coming it felt like months. It felt like it was coming for months and months, and it finally came. We finally got the official women's triple threat for WrestleMania. And initially I was against it, and I still would prefer one-on-one. I'm a big one-on-one guy at WrestleMania when it comes to championships. I understand they want to put a triple threat in here and there. This one, I still prefer one-on-one with Rhea and with Bianca, but fine. Io Sky is the hot hand right now. Io Sky, while she can't communicate English very well, still fans have gravitated to her because of her work. Her body of work has really grabbed the fans and pulled them along with her. She's been here for a long time now. We've seen bad iterations of her. She's done the damage control thing that did nothing but, pun intended, damage to everyone in that group. I mean, it was essentially the downfall of Bayley putting that group together. But right now you have Io in a position that the fans want her to retain. I think the fans would be okay with Rhea winning, but they've turned on Bianca. And there does seem to be a consensus now of the fans against Bianca winning, which is, there's so many layers to this. So I'm trying not to complicate it. You could peel back the onion for an hour, but Bianca's been out of the singles run for a long time. She's been essentially just the crutch for Jade Cargill since her debut in WWE. She's been forced into the tag team division. She was tag team champions, and she wasn't, then she was, and she wasn't. And then she gets into the Elimination Chamber finally, after what it seemed like 2 years. And she wins. And I'm thinking, great, here we go, one-on-one. And then Io wins the belt from Rhea on Raw. And I still don't agree with it as much as the fans like Io. You got to do WrestleMania one-on-one with Rhea and Bianca. They're more than capable of having a absolute classic. But fine. Io's there now, and you get this sloppy, how do we get there? We're going to get to the triple threat, but how do we get there? And we all know that, they're going to, it's just how. And they did. So you have the fans turn against Bianca, even though she's been out of the singles run for a while. And then you have Rhea, who essentially just lost the championship that the fans still have a love for, that they wouldn't mind her recapturing. And then you have Io, who beat Rhea, and the fans are I think, if you polled everybody, would majoritively want her to retain. So Bianca hasn't completely leaned into the heel portion of her character yet, because I think WWE is either going to wait for WrestleMania, wait till the night after WrestleMania, not do it at all. I mean, that's also a possibility. Or they're going to wait for consistency, multiple months of fans turning on her, see if it's if it truly is a pattern. And it did carry over from the European tour. I was wondering if it wasn't going to, and it did. It came over from the European tour. We caught the virus of booing Bianca, and she wore black on Raw. she was not in her usual skippy mood, twirling her hair to the ring. That was not the version of Bianca we got. So they could perhaps be showing us, okay, fine. Yeah, we'll turn her heel. And wearing all black, that's the first time I've seen Bianca that dark. I think that was a very big clue too. That, okay, let's do it. But as far as match quality, this match, I mean, much like the Fatal 4-Way for the Intercontinental Championship, this one is towards the top of my list of, I'd say in the top 3 of what could be from just in-ring, not story per se, but just in-ring. This could be match of the night. Easily should beat all the other women's matches. All right. This one should be match contender in the discussion for match of the night. These 3 women are that good. That good. Great style contrasts, great chemistry. And the story really of Io being the kind of the sides, really kind of being dismissed by both Rhea and Bianca is, I mean, this has been going on for several weeks, is kind of a fun little story that they're ignoring her, yet she's the one holding the championship. And it could be a precursor to, hey, you guys are so focused on each other, I'm going to come in and steal the win. And she very well could. I mean, you could get a riptide and Io kicks Rhea out of the ring and covers for a 1-2-3 or hits the insane elbow, and boom, 1-2-3. I mean, this is something that I think could easily happen, but this is a program that I've slowly kind of come to terms with this being a triple threat. I went kicking and screaming into it because Rhea and Bianca have not had a one-on-one, to my knowledge, on a big platform of any kind since they came up from NXT. I know they had interactions at the Rumble a few years ago. They were the final 2 in the Rumble a few years ago. And they teased it on, I think, the Monday Night Raw after that, of them, passing one another. The Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. I forget what number it was, 38, maybe 39. And they passed each other. And you're thinking, okay, here we go. This is a precursor to next year. And they never did it. And then here we are at WrestleMania 41, and they're kind of doing it. So, I mean, they'll eventually get to it, but I don't know. Can you tell I'm a little biased for one-on-one? I think it's the best way, especially at WrestleMania, to tell the story that needs to be told. Because when you add a third person, regardless of how big of a star they are and how cool it looks on paper to add this person, you're muddying the waters of what could be a great story one-on-one, because there's that third path. And sure, it adds unpredictability, but I'm more for good storytelling than I am just for pure unpredictability, for just unpredictability's sake. So Rhea and Bianca, to me, with the paralleled careers they have, the similarity of their careers that they have, not identical, but there's similarities. The style of wrestling that Bianca and Rhea both have is, while it's similar, which usually would lead to it being not good, because if they're similar, then they're both trying to do the same thing and the same moves. That's not the case here. They're both extremely strong, powerful women in the ring, and they have a power style, but yet they're so athletic that they're able to kind of gel both styles where it complements one another, and be athletic when the other one's doing, trying to perform a power move, and vice versa. And they just work so well together. And I think that this is something that eventually they're going to get to. It's going to be one-on-one at some point, but I'm still looking forward to this match. This is going to be a hell of a match. So now, as far as, I want to mention one more thing here, because I know I keep harping on this, but I want to know if they, with John Cena and Cody Rhodes, I do have to say, story has been up for me. It's been good. John Cena's heel promos, the first one was not as fun for me as the second one. His second one, he kind of honed more in. No one's mentioned The Rock, which is just bizarre. But the ending of that match, which is going to be taking place exactly in 1 week. Like right now, we're probably watching, or at least the start of the match of John Cena and Cody Rhodes, depending on how much time they have. I mean, we could be close to the end of the match right now. I do wonder what exactly the finish is going to be, given it's WrestleMania, given what we saw last year with the schmaz bloodline finish, which was, I mean, it was, a lot of people thought it was the best finish of all time. I didn't. I didn't. I understand many people, oh, it's Cody's finishing his bedtime story and it's all that. And I understand it. I understand why people thought that. And, oh my God, The Rock's here. Oh, here comes John Cena. Oh my God, here comes Seth Rollins as a Shield member. Here comes The Undertaker for absolutely no reason because Stone Cold wasn't available because they didn't want to pay him enough. So we got The Undertaker. With no disrespect to Taker, but that was Austin's moment. That was Austin's finish. That was Austin's slot. And now we're a year later, and we're kind of, and not just me, I'm hearing other podcasters, hearing a lot of you guys on X. This could be a finish that is very similar to the bloodline rules of last year with Roman and Cody. And there's some good reason to believe that because The Rock we haven't seen or heard from in a month and a half. The PLE, WrestleMania, is taking place in Vegas. Austin lives in Vegas. Who's The Rock's arch rival at WrestleMania? Stone Cold Steve Austin. They missed the opportunity last year. I do not think they're missing it this year. So there's that. Is there a possibility of anybody else interfering? Maybe. Drew McIntyre. I know that many people are sleeping on him and his match against Damian Priest, which again, I opened the show saying I think it's going to be a better match than most people expect, and I think it will be. This rivalry, while I don't think it's deserving of what Drew deserves at WrestleMania, given the year he's had, I think there's bigger plans in store for Drew, and he could be the one to align himself with The Rock. I've heard that, and I know it's rumors and rumors. But Drew in a heel faction, I'm not going to, I won't crap on that. So I think Drew McIntyre right now is in a position to explode, do something bigger than he's doing. He needs to, because Drew is, we've seen it, more than capable of doing bigger things. So back to this match being a bloodline rules finish similar to last year. I think it'll be about half as messy, meaning it won't be 5 people coming out. It'll be like two big people, maybe 3, right? So it'll be about half of what happened last year. And sure, there's possibilities of other people we're not thinking about coming out, very much a bloodline rules finish. And I really hope we do get an Austin appearance. It's tailor-made for Stone Cold to stun The Rock. And John Cena can still win. Austin doesn't have to be the savior to help Cody retain. But Austin stunning The Rock is something that we got screwed out of last year and we deserve this year. I mean, it just needs to happen. A couple last things, guys, and then I think we're going to wrap it. One is the Rusev return. Where's Rusev? What's he going to do? I still believe they're going to throw Rusev into a mid-upper card spot, whether it's Intercontinental or US. So that's probably where he'll land. Is he going to be at WrestleMania? 50-50? I mean, that's a cop-out because I literally don't know. I could see where they slot him for the night after, given the fact that they already have everyone. Like, it's all hands on deck for WrestleMania, but you have to have some aces up the sleeve for the night after. The Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania is got such high standards, and for big returns and debuts and everything like that, that's something that I think they should reserve for the night after WrestleMania. I do. So is Rusev out there? Yeah, he is. And I expect him, for me, it'd be Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. And the last thing I'll say, AJ Styles, Logan Paul. I know a lot of you guys despise Logan Paul. He shouldn't be here. He's trash. He's a YouTube star. All of those criticisms are really just, you're lying to yourself if you don't think that he's good in the ring in terms of how we view quote unquote good today. All right. Logan Paul is not my favorite person from a personal perspective, but like, I wouldn't hang out with him. Okay. I wouldn't be like, hey man, why don't you come over for a few beers tonight and we'll hang out. No, like that. But I don't need to feel that way about somebody to understand how good they are in the ring and respect how good they are in the ring. Now, do I respect him as a wrestler? I mean, I respect what he can do, but I don't have that body of respect that I do for, people that have been here for 10, 15, 20 years. That may come with time. But his ability in the ring it far exceeds what he should be able to do. And AJ Styles and Logan Paul, I really like that fit. I don't know who's going to win that. Predictions again on Friday, but I really think this is another match that has the potential to steal the show. I'll have to look at the card and see if it's night 1 or 2. I didn't look at the card yet. But this match, it's easy to understand. It's simple. Like the build has been very straightforward, and that's okay. I don't need everything being complex with 40 layers of the onion I need to peel back, like some of these programs I've been talking about. Not much here to really dissect. It's just you have a D-bag, this D-bag that's just inherently unlikable, but he's good, versus this grizzled vet that's still on the back. Well, he's on the backside of his career in terms of his prime. He's, definitely got more days behind him than in front of him. But you have two guys that are high flying, innovative, unique styles. And this has, at least on paper, the potential to be a really good match. Really good. So I see absolutely why they put them together, and I'm looking forward to it. So I think that'll do it, guys. My first show here live. I'll be doing a lot more of these as we move forward in time with our WrestleMania week coverage. And maybe I'll even do my Raw review live. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how that goes, because I may be doing it as we get closer. And definitely for the after WrestleMania, I'll be doing a live show, because everybody's going to want to vent about something. There's not going to be anything coming out of WrestleMania that people are going to be like, oh, well, time to go to bed. It's going to be a wild WrestleMania, and people are going to, whether it's good or bad, have something to say about it. So we'll have more about that as we move forward in time. So that will do it, everybody. I appreciate it. We're live, and I don't think we had too many technical issues. So thank you, everybody, and we'll chat next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.